Hey everyone, it's that time again. We have a new Emily Henry release that I am so excited to review for you guys. Great Big Beautiful Life. And it just came out today. Of course, I binge read it. So I'm going to talk about all my thoughts, what I loved about it, and of course some spoilers that I'll give you a heads up for in my review. Let's go ahead and get to it. Just a quick blurb about the book. We have Alice, who is trying to secure her dream job of writing a memoir for Margaret Ives, who is basically a very distrusting heiress in her 80s who's been a recluse for the past two-ish decades. The only problem is she gets to this tiny island in Georgia where Margaret Ives lives and figures out that she's competing for the job with someone named Hayden Anderson. Hayden Anderson is typical grumpy male main character, and Alice is our typical sunshine female main character. So you get that trope in this book, but they are basically working opposite of each other for a month to gain Margaret Ives' trust in order to be the one chosen to write her memoir. So that was a quick blurb. I'm just going to get straight to it. I really enjoyed this book so much. I loved the interviews and learning about Margaret Ives and her family, her history, everything. I love the present day scenes with Hayden and Alice. Their tension, romantic tension, was literally palpable, and it was so great. I mean, we expect that from Emily Henry, but it's so great to just read this new novel and be like, oh wow, I missed this. I honestly loved everything. My top Emily Henry book is Happy Place. Still is, but this one came very close to meeting Happy Place in that top position. So the writing style for this novel is beautiful as ever. Honestly, I don't remember how her other books were because I read them so long ago, but the way that she described the oak trees and the sweet tea and the humidity and everything in this small island made me feel like I was there. I could feel the humidity on my skin even though I, for sure, sat in the AC all day long to read this. I was so immersed in this story, and Emily Henry's writing style does such a great job of pulling you in. And this leads me to the characters. There are so many details in each character, each tiny detail about their history and their backstory, everything that brings these characters to life. Hayden, you have his backstory, all of his family. He wasn't as developed, I would say, as Alice and Margaret Ives and everyone in the Ives family, but you get a lot that builds on these characters and their flaws and what they love and what they're scared of that makes them feel so real. Hayden is no exception to this, and honestly, him and Alice are such great opposites that it makes their relationship so much more believable. Margaret is obviously a broken and struggling older lady who is hurt from her past and is hiding so many things. But you really can't blame her for hiding all of these things once everything is out about her story, and I'll talk more about that in the spoilers. But Margaret's sister, Laura, Margaret's husband, Cosmo, and honestly, everyone in the Ives family felt so realistic and developed that it fully pulled you into the story that Emily Henry built. There were a couple of times when things felt so real in the scenes that Emily Henry was describing that I felt the emotion building up in my chest, and I was like, I think I'm gonna cry. I think I'm gonna cry. I didn't cry, but it came close. I didn't dislike any of the characters or the way that any of the characters were built, their details, anything like that, except Theo. But I think you all can agree with me on that one, just because he was just ugh. So much went into this plot, and all of it really has to do with Margaret Ives. You have a tiny subplot with Alice and her mother, and you'll read about that and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But the majority of the plot is on Margaret Ives and her story and who is going to get that book deal with her to write the memoir. Is it going to be Hayden or is it going to be Alice? So a majority of the book is that, and then also Hayden and Alice trying to basically deny how attracted they are to each other, which is really fun to read about because you can tell it's like, oh, they're not going to win. So for me, I'm not a big fan of alternating timelines. I really love Taylor Jenkins Reid's Daisy Jones and the Six, and this felt very similar to that, the way that this story was built up. So the Ives family history, you literally go back to Margaret Ives' great-great-grandfather, I think, and where all of the tragedy started within their family. And it kind of ties into the curse that they talk about in the book, but it never really sums it up as, oh, we're cursed. It's more of just like a, hey, they talk about the family curse. I couldn't wait to get back to her story and the interviews, her whole family history. Why was she keeping secrets? What could possibly be her motive for finally wanting to tell her story? The reasons for that and all of those questions, I honestly didn't expect at all, but it could be because I was so engrossed and immersed in this story that I was just focused on the pages that I was reading, not, oh my gosh, this connects here and this connects here and this connects here and this could possibly be the reason. No, I was really, really, really into this book and reading it. So I wasn't really thinking about who could it be, what could the reason be, yada yada. As far as like the ending goes, there were no loose threads, nothing that left me with a question hanging. I felt like everything was summed up really well and like a true romance novel. Okay, so y'all know I absolutely have to talk about spoilers. There are some things in this book I was like, whoa, what just happened? So let's talk about all the crazy revelations that happened in this book. First off, Jody being Margaret's niece was not expected at all. I was like, I really thought she was a housekeeper or maybe a live-in nanny sort of thing. Not the niece for Margaret and Laura's daughter. Then finding out that the paparazzi basically caused Cosmo's death and that because of the paparazzi, Margaret gave up her daughter after Cosmo died and therefore her daughter had a whole nother life in Indiana, didn't know who she was, and then her daughter had Hayden. I was left speechless. Like, I am still kind of speechless. Like, what? I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting it at all. I kind of had an idea that the job wasn't actually a real job, but I wasn't expecting it to take the turn that it did. I don't think my heart will heal from this because that is so depressing. The way that Cosmo dies because Margaret is pregnant and they think that she's having a miscarriage or something like that. So they drive to the hospital. The paparazzi are chasing them. They go through a red light and they just get hit. And then Margaret giving up her daughter because she can't dream of a life where her daughter is chased by the paparazzi like her father was. Like, that's so sad. But seriously though, like that sort of thing should not happen ever. We should not be treating human beings like they're animals in a zoo. I get that people are obsessed with these actors and celebrities and influencers and writers, but we should never treat people like this. We shouldn't make them live their lives under a microscope and feel like they're trapped in their own fame. That doesn't make sense to me. I know that a lot of people feel differently, but I don't feel like we should be treating celebrities and people who are famous like this. Why can't we just enjoy their art and their creations without making them live under a microscope? And they literally have to pay for what they give us with their privacy. Why? All right, rant over. That's my spoilers. But seriously, again, guys, Hayden as her grandson, did anybody see that coming? Because maybe I'm just dumb, but I did not see that coming. Okay, that was my review for Emily Henry's Great Big Beautiful Life. This book did not disappoint. Just another Emily Henry book that you can binge, enjoy, love, cherish, all of the good things. I loved every second of it. It came close to being my top Emily Henry book, right below Happy Place. Everything was amazing, from the writing style to the characters to the plot. I was fully immersed in this book and I couldn't be happier with it. Y'all know I'll always pick up an Emily Henry book the second it's released, and it's 5 out of 5 well-deserved stars. If you like this video, please leave a comment for me down below. I would love to know what you thought about the spoilers, the whole book all together. Also, if you want to see more like this, please subscribe because I always post book reviews, book rankings, TV reviews, book versus movies, all of the good things. So I'll see you guys later. Bye!